You don't have time to second guess or you're stressed. Like, you just got to buckle up your pants and you just got to do it.
Starting a business is challenging.
It's basically like a big business card.
Honing in on that market is really what's going to get you the best results. We have two guests for you today. Our first guest is the founder and CEO of Tapville, a tech-forward food and beverage concept that strives to make the customer experience more enjoyable. We'll also hear from one of his franchisees, Edwin Goitia. Enjoy. All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for coming on the BizCast. We really appreciate you being on the show today.
My pleasure. Excited to be here with you guys today.
We know that you canceled your other podcast.
Yeah,
Tell us about
NPR
that.
had a podcast lined up for me today with Guy Raz on how I built it to tell my entrepreneurial story, but I rescheduled him for next week to be here today.
Man, that's epic.
Yes.
That's epic. Thank you. That warms my heart. Well, hopefully we'll get you on that podcast soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
But that's what we're here to talk about, a little bit about, that how it works, right? How your business works and what you're doing here in the Naperville area as well as around the country. I mean, this is a concept that's going to be blowing up pretty soon here. So before we start going into Tapville and what you do with Tapville, tell us a little bit about your background and what you did before Tapville and how that kind of played into what you're doing now.
Yeah, so my background, I started out as a management consultant. I worked with a lot of large brands on solving operational challenges, mainly using technology to solve those challenges. So some of the large brands that I worked with were in the retail, restaurant, hospitality space. And working with these large companies, I realized that a lot of these problems in hospitality with labor and wastage and things that happen in the restaurant industry could be solved with technology. And that kind of inspired me to start Tapville to sort of solve these challenges in the hospitality industry with technology. So I had a lot of interesting projects working throughout the country with really large restaurant brands, some that I can't mention, working with their front line and the restaurant operators and just learning that, technology can solve a lot of problems if it's applied correctly. And that's how I got inspired to get Tapville off the ground about 6 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, a lot has happened in 6 years with Tapville. Just from what I've seen personally, you started out actually as a different brand, correct?
Yeah, we started the company 6 years ago as Red Arrow Tap Room. It was kind of a beer-focused concept. What we tried to do was bring in a lot of local breweries that were certified independent. We had a pretty heavy barbecue menu. We had, at the time, 48 self-pour taps. You can sample different craft beer options. You can order your food from a tablet at the table, which made it easier to place orders, also limited some of the labor expenses. So just a really cool concept that we started in Elmhurst about 6 years ago. And then over, a few years of operating, we learned a lot more about our customer through really good data analytics. Whenever you come into a Tapville, we measure everything, how much you pour, how often you come, how long you stay for.
Wow.
And a lot of those metrics we use for marketing, and we can adjust our operations. So working with Red Arrow, we evolved the brand to Tapville, and we started franchising about 2 years ago. And we launched a kiosk version of our restaurant that we put in shopping malls and airports. And we also launched last year a mobile tap room with 16 self-pour taps that we can bring to your house.
Wow.
So the brand is really about people engaging in a social environment. And what we do is we provide, the entertainment with the taps and a great, restaurant concept. So
awesome.
Tapville's evolved over the last 6 years, and we're really excited about the future. We've added a lot of locations and a lot more to come. So.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, I'm excited about it. I love craft beer. So like anything beer related, I'm on top of it. So I've had my eyes on Tapville for quite a while. I knew it when it was what was the other name?
Red Arrow.
Red Arrow Tap Room. I did networking events there when it was that. So I always had my eye on it. It's just amazing to see how much it's grown too. Like the changes that have happened and the growth, seeing it pop up in different locations around the country. That's really exciting. My next question is going back to your background being in the tech industry.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say that Tapville would be considered a tech company that sells beer. That's kind of what people will define it as. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think what we do really well is we provide really good technology for the operational piece of a restaurant. We also have really good marketing analytics from the data that we collect. So we're a marketing company. And we have a really great product, which is craft beer. And we also sell spirits and cocktails and food. But what we do really well is to market and run an operationally sound concept, but we have great other options like beer. So yeah, we're kind of like a, kind of a forward-thinking tech company that permeates with hospitality concepts. We think that what we're doing now is the future of the hospitality industry. And a lot of times we just say we're redefining hospitality with technology.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different, and it's definitely serves its purpose currently with what's going on with like the pandemic and things, having that contactless type of service. I think it's huge. I mean, it's revolutionizing businesses now as far as like what's going on with the pandemic and the virus, if you will. Yeah. But so the concept of the restaurant being no servers, no checks, self-service essentially. Where did that come from? Where did you come up with that idea of having?
I used to go out to eat a lot, right? I still do. And, there's things that are sort of pain points for a guest, right? You're trying to flag your server down to take your order. That's a pain point. Waiting for your check at the end of a visit is a pain point. If you want to, try multiple options of craft beer, which I like to do, it's a pain point. It's not easy to do that in a restaurant. So we looked at all the problems that restaurants have, and then we applied technology to solve those problems. It just happened to be that all of this was happening, pre-pandemic. We've been doing this, for 6 years now. But then when the pandemic hit, we realized that our model was sort of accelerated because of the things that were happening with the pandemic: socially distanced restaurants, reduced labor, workforce right now. There's a lot of labor shortages. So everything we were doing just sort of got accelerated with the pandemic. And it's really a testament to the model that we have and the forward thinking that our team had 6 years ago and how we could change the restaurant industry.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's extremely revolutionary, and what you guys are doing. It's just so different, but like you said, it plays into perfectly what's going on currently with the pandemic, and you positioned yourselves, I think, in a really ingenious way to continue to serve people and give people that experience despite, the limitations that we might have. So it's more than beer at Tapville, obviously. Right. It's not just the craft beer, even though that's a huge talking point. What else do you guys offer at Tapville besides the beer? Yeah, so beer is one offering. We have amazing, so the whole idea of Tapville is about, embrace independence and having choice. So, just to point out that we're not eliminating servers, we're just making the servers' jobs easier with technology. Got it. And the servers that we do have, because of the technology, their job is easier, and they actually earn more than traditional restaurants. So it's actually benefiting the server. Wow. We still have bartenders, but we also have this amazing tap wall that has 48 taps in most locations. You can sample by the ounce, which makes it fun to try different craft beers. But if you're not a beer lover, and that's okay, we have awesome flights that we build, like margarita flights, cocktail flights, even our brunch offering has mimosa flights. Nice. So there's something, for everybody at Tapville. It's not just a concept that is for beer lovers, even though we have awesome beer and we support a lot of local breweries. Yeah, absolutely. So really, Tapville is about a place that, a lot of different people can enjoy a craft beverage, and then some really good food in our restaurant locations. Awesome. And you were mentioning before how you went from Red Arrow to Tapville and the menu being very barbecue driven and stuff like that. You definitely changed that, obviously, since then. What went into that? Like, what was your decision-making process? Did you run into some issues with, the experience? You thought, we should change this aspect? A lot of what we do is driven on what the customer wants or the guest wants. And then we look at data really closely. We have amazing data capabilities. I think our concept optimizes data, allows us to get the data points that we need to make decisions. And then we tie that into social media marketing and all the data points that Facebook carries and all that. Where we can do lookalike audiences. And what we found was over time, there's a lot of concentration of craft beer options right now. 8 years ago, it was harder to find craft beer. Now there's a brewery in every city. So really, it's hard to compete in that space. And what we found was a lot of our customers were actually looking for more than just craft beer. And that helped us evolve the beverage, what we would call the cocktail beverage menu. And we also found that a lot of our customers were actually women
versus men. So they weren't all, men with beards that want to come out and have beer and barbecue, but it was women.
For sure.
And this is, not something that we sort of decided. It was what our data was telling us.
Yeah.
So we slowly evolved the menu to be more new American focused. We do, rotating menu items. We added, a larger spirits lineup, and it really just targets well to the customer that really wants to shop with us. So it wasn't sort of an evolution that we planned. It just kind of happened based on the data that we got. And, Tapville will evolve, and, 5 years from now, it might look a lot different as well. But it's really the data and what the customer is telling us is how we evolve the concept. So
awesome. That's beautiful. And it's really helpful, I'm sure beneficial to other businesses that are going through some of these adaptations, understanding your market and knowing like who are you trying to sell to essentially, who do you want to see your product and your content, and honing in on that person. Like you said, a female may be your target demographic, especially for a restaurant. I feel like most restaurants, it's the woman that's making the decision.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and your best paying client at a restaurant is going to be the family that comes in with 5 people. The dad orders an expensive drink, the wife orders an expensive glass of wine, and they order a whole smorgasbord for the kids. So like honing in on that market is really what's going to get you the best results. And I experience that all the time with marketing for other companies, figuring out who it is that they're trying to attract and target, and then just creating the content that's specific to that market, So very interesting how you guys have used that tool of target marketing and brand positioning even, and honing in on that audience and all the changes that have taken place because of that. Seeing, even just being a customer, seeing more females in that space in general. You got the cupcake events that you guys put on a lot. I'm sure that's a big attraction for the female audience, but it's like little things like that you kind of tweak a bit just to make sure that you guys are doing, your marketing properly.
And the way that you sort of learn this is through data, right? You learn what your customer wants through data, and in large sets of data too. And what's really cool now is, especially in the Chicago market where we started out, if I wear a hat out or a T-shirt that says Tapville, and I'm out at a restaurant, people recognize the brand.
Wow.
So it's like really cool to see that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's amazing. That's got to be a good feeling too. Like people are noticing,
Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. And I think, when you come into our establishments, to your point, it's not just the craft beer, but that's something that we do really well. We have other offerings, and we do these ticketed events, which I think is unique. We're really trying to take local businesses and then pair them with spirits and do like cupcake and cocktail pairings. We do beer dinners. We've even paired Girl Scout cookies with local breweries as well. So
that sounds like a good combo.
Really cool events. Yeah.
I've been to the cupcake event, but cookies, Girl Scout cookies, sign me up. I'm in.
Oh, yeah,
I'll spend
for sure.
whatever money I need to spend. For sure. All right, let's go back into the franchise a little bit now. So this is a franchise. You own the franchise. You're able to sell this concept to other franchisees. There's 3 different models here. You got the brick and mortar, the restaurant, you have the kiosk, and then the trailer. Can you talk a little bit more about those 3 different options and the differences between them?
So franchising is something that we started 2 years ago. We saw that we had a viable business model that was very profitable and that other people wanted to take advantage of. So what we're doing is providing the know-how, the systems, and the training for other people to take our brand and bring it into other markets.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What we've done is we started out with a restaurant concept, which, is just a restaurant, right? Food and drink. We found out that there was a demand, particularly in retail environments like shopping malls, where a lot of these retailers were looking for ways to attract customers back to brick and mortar. It's been pretty difficult for brick and mortar, retailers to keep customers with the whole online, sort of surgence. So we then started putting kiosks in shopping malls, which is really cool. You can grab a craft beer or a mimosa or a glass of wine, walk around the mall and shop. And we can do it really efficiently with our model. So we launched the kiosk offering. And then last year during the pandemic, when everybody was sitting at home for a few months, we were thinking more about what would happen when things started opening up again and people wanted to be outside. And that's when we designed the first self-pour mobile tap room. It's the world's first self-pour mobile tap room franchise.
Wow.
And we built that, designed it, and we launched that last year, actually. So all these three concepts are interesting to different types of franchisees. To open up a restaurant, there's a lot more capital that's needed. To open up a kiosk, it would be less capital and even less for a mobile tap room. So we kind of think more about the brand and sort of positioning into different markets where we have a restaurant, a couple restaurant locations, we have these satellite kiosk locations, and then we have a mobile tap room that can go to, people's houses or events. So we can really build, brand penetration, within a market. Also, we have a great loyalty program, so the mobility of the customer to go any one of those concepts works really well. So you can go to a restaurant, you might see Tapville at the airport and then at the shopping mall. So we're really trying to build market penetration with that franchise model.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're attacking a lot of different markets, being in a lot of different places at once, essentially. That's awesome. I really love the franchise idea. I love the idea of helping other people also, grow and start their own businesses and make something in their community. We're going to actually talk with Edwin next door from here. We're at the My Perks Lounge, and Tapville just so happens to be right next door to us. And we're going to talk to him today about his experience being a franchisee and, being able to start his dream business, essentially. I know Edwin very well. He's a good friend of mine, and this has always been something that he's interested in. And beer, his whole life revolves around beer for the most part. So it was just a perfect combo, and it was just interesting to see him be able to actually implement and start this, with the snap of his finger, with the help of you and your team, and you guys being there to support him and his dreams coming true. So.
Hi, my name is Edwin Goitia. I'm the franchise owner of Tapville Social at the Fox Valley Mall in Aurora, Illinois. So the Tapville model that I own is actually a kiosk, and for the first time ever, we have a kiosk inside of a store here at Fox Valley Mall. Another one of my roles here at Tapville Social is Director of Events for the mobile trailer program. We actually have a beer trailer on wheels that we take to private events, public events all over the Chicagoland area. What interests me the most about the Tapville franchise opportunity is the ultimate freedom to explore and love and talk about craft beer. The ability to get people who love craft beer all together in one place. So before I decided to buy Tapville, I definitely was looking at other options, maybe restaurants and other beer models. But for me, Tapville was exactly what I was looking for. The most intimidating factor for me in opening this franchise was really opening it during the pandemic. So taking the financial plunge as well as the uncertainty of the environment we were living in, really things could have gone either way, but I'm lucky I made that decision. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think the leadership and the support from Tapville at the top, I think gave me the ultimate confidence to move forward with the decision. I definitely sat on the decision for a good 6 to 8 months before taking the plunge. Personally, for me, doing a lot of research and really talking one-on-one with other franchise owners and doing some due diligence. And finally, with the help of Joe Tota and his guidance, I think I had the confidence to ultimately make that decision. In 2022, we got some big plans, looking to expand our kiosk here at the Fox Valley Mall, take on more patrons, and really create a great environment here at the Fox Valley Mall. Additionally, we're looking to expand the mobile program, not just in Chicago, but nationwide as well.
Talk to him a little bit about that, but that leads to my next question. How has the franchising been for your franchisees during this year, 2021?
Yeah, it's first of all, in the beginning of my career, I was a consultant, right? So I helped people with their businesses, right? And then I started my own business, right, which was Tapville. And now I'm going back to my roots of helping them be successful within their businesses. So it's really inspirational to work with people like Edwin. We have amazing franchisees that, they take a risk. They're investing capital. They're maybe leaving a job that they had that was secure to start a Tapville location. So it's very inspirational for me to help work with those folks and make sure they're successful. So it's kind of like, my passion was helping other people with their businesses, and now I'm doing that again as a franchisor. What I'm finding now is that we're getting interest all over the U.S. right now for people that want to own a Tapville. I think by next year, we're looking at somewhere of like 36 store openings next year.
Wow.
By the end of this year, we'll have 50 franchise units in development. Some of the development agreements take a few years to open, but it's just amazing. I couldn't imagine how fast the company was going to grow. We raised capital on startengine.com, which is a crowdfunding source that Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank is one of their advisors.
Yeah.
And we have over 2,000 investors in the U.S. right now. So it's just been an amazing ride. We've got great executive team members that are helping to support our growth, great board advisors. But at the end of the day, our goal as a franchisor is to make sure that our franchisees are successful. Because if they're not successful, then we're not successful.
Absolutely.
So my passion is to work closely with those franchisees, making sure that they have the right training, the right marketing promotions, and we're constantly evaluating our technology to make sure that what we do, is going to help them run their business.
Awesome.
And we also look for core values within our franchisees that align with ours. We don't just take anybody on
Absolutely,
to be a franchisee. And
a big part of it. I think should be a vetting process, right? As far as who you bring on to the franchise to represent it properly.
Yeah, usually most franchisors, it's really about capital and, and liquid capital and net worth. Yeah, we look at those things too.
Of course.
But what we try to do really is to find that the franchisees that we bring on to the system share our core values.
Yep.
Edwin is a good example of that.
Absolutely.
Him and I think we're really aligned on some of the certain core values is how we operate as a business. And we're just trying to take those core values and make sure that we find the franchisees that share them and then build our system. So.
Awesome. I love that. That's huge. I think that having a good culture within a company it speaks volumes about who they are and what they're all about. And the trust that goes with that too. Because, buying anything, being a consumer, it's a process. There's a trust process that goes into that. We have to trust who we're giving our money to, essentially. And when you have a team that is all on the same page and has those same core values and the culture is really strong, then trust is easy. It comes really easy in that sense. All right, so going back to franchisees and Edwin's story, it's an amazing story what he's done and what you guys have done together, and the fact that you're so supportive and helping those franchisees get to where they need to get. So, say someone wants to start a franchise for Tapville, and they're interested in this concept, and they want to start their own. What advice do you have for somebody like that? Somebody that's new to this concept?
Starting a business is challenging, no matter whether it's a franchise business or any type of business. There's going to be trade-offs that you have when you start a business. What we try to do when we sort of select franchisees is, first of all, you have to make sure that where you're at in your current life is acceptable for you to start a business. Can you devote the time to starting a business? When you start a business, you find that owning and operating a business is like a 7-day-a-week, commitment. Sometimes 8 days a week. So you just got to make sure you're at that point in your life where you can do that, right? There's also some financial obligations that you may have to overcome. So there's usually capital that's required to start a business. You also want to find a business that you're passionate about, something that you will do every day, even on the tough days, because you have passion for it.
With a smile on your face, right?
Sometimes with the smile on your face. Sometimes not with the smile on your face, but you do it anyway, right? And it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of trade-offs. Sometimes it's that you work weekends, right? Or you work 7 days a week. And it's a lot of risk because things can go wrong in a business. No business is foolproof. And what you have to have is what we kind of call endurance to keep pushing forward with that business. And you're going to hit, roadblocks, you're going to hit problems. And if you have faith that you can solve those problems as you keep pushing forward, then you'll be successful. I see a million problems ahead of me. I don't know how I'm going to solve those problems yet, but I'll take them one day at a time.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of about what it's running a business. And it's hard work, and it's about working with people. It's about hiring employees. It's making sure, and it's also responsibility too. When you have employees, we have I think 89 employees right now.
Wow.
Not in our franchise businesses, but personally within the companies that we own.
Wow.
You've got folks that have families, they have children, they go to school. It's a big responsibility to make sure that you're going to be successful as a business so that you can pay them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a lot, starting a business. So you want to evaluate all those things before you write that check.
For sure. And it's not for everyone, but you have the right head on your shoulders and you have all your ducks in a row and you're passionate about it. I like that you mentioned that because I feel like that's probably one of the biggest things in business. A lot of reasons why businesses don't work out because that passion isn't there. You lose interest,
Yeah, and that's why a lot of businesses fail. It's not the business model sometimes. It's really the person that's running the business, and if they lose passion or they can't solve those problems, that's where things go awry.
So we know that you're extremely passionate about this. One reason why is because you teach classes over at COD, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
For the beer, craft beer stuff. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, that's a pure example of passion for something you love, being able to teach others about it.
Yeah, part of being a leader is to be a teacher, right? That's what good leaders do. And I'm not saying I'm a good leader, but I like to teach too. So part of what I do volunteer-wise is I teach at a local community college, and I teach an entrepreneur class in a craft beer program. So it's a bunch of students that are taking classes that maybe they want to own a brewery or they want to own some craft, beer-based business.
Wow.
So I teach this class. It's really cool. We start out the semester where they come up with a business idea, and for the whole semester, they're putting together a business plan for their idea. And then for the final session, we bring in, investors.
A Shark Tank
It's
almost?
a Shark Tank pitch.
Love
They
that.
go up, they pitch their business idea to these investors, and then the investors will give them feedback and decide if they're going to invest. It's staged. They're not real investors. Some are real investors, but
still gives you that experience though, like being in front of people and pitching your idea to them, like the nerves that go into that, and just the anxiety alone. Practicing that is everything. Getting used to that feeling of pitching.
And it's cool to hear their ideas. Like sometimes we borrow a few.
I'm
but,
sure. Hey.
They're really cool ideas that they come up with. So, but I teach that class, and and what we're trying to teach those students is how to sort of formulate a business plan, how to pitch it to an investor to get capital, right? Because that's what you need to do, which is hard, right?
Absolutely.
And we just help them through that process. It's really cool. I do it for fun. I don't think I really even got a paycheck, so I don't think I picked it up. But
that's passion right there.
I just feel I like doing it. So that's one of the things that I do. Yeah.
Awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah. Like I said, going back to the passion piece, that's when you can do something for free. That's when you really know that you're passionate about it, because it doesn't matter how big a check you get for it. You just love it, and you enjoy seeing people thrive like that, and learning and growing. And then of course you get to get some cool ideas while you're at it, right?
Yeah.
That's a nice perk for sure. So on the podcast, for all of our guests, we usually also ask them how they give back to the community. Since we're doing this podcast as kind of a way to give back to the community, your story hopefully will help other businesses out there, or business people who are maybe on the fence about starting a business, or they're in the thick of it and they're trying to figure out some of these issues and come up with solutions to some of their problems. And so I'm sure a lot of this is going to help people like that. But how do you give back to the community? What are some ways that you give back?
Good question. So I think in any business, I think first of all, networking is great. Meeting other people, whether the same industry or different industries, is really valuable. The way I've given back over the years is I've volunteered for a lot of nonprofit organizations. At one time in Chicago, I was the head of the Association for Talent Development.
Oh, nice.
It's a nonprofit organization focused on training professionals.
Okay.
At one point, I was the president-elect for the Chicago Area Runners Association.
Oh, wow.
Volunteer role. Been a little bit harder to run lately, running all these businesses. But
sure.
So I did that. I also am on 2 other boards locally in DuPage County where I live.
Awesome.
So I really like to volunteer, and it's a great way to give back, to meet people. The way that Tapville gives back to the community is we have a great charity support program.
Okay.
So if you have a charity and you want us to help you, you can sign up to do an event at one of our locations. And then we'll give 20% back of all the revenue back to your charity for that event.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome.
It's a great way to bring in folks to the restaurant, and then for a charity to earn money for their organization.
Absolutely.
We also do charity tap of the month, where a charity can sign up, and then we'll choose one tap, and then for every ounce that's poured off that tap, they get 5 cents, and it starts adding up pretty quickly.
I'm sure. Especially after they have their first, second, third, and next thing you know, that's like $10, $15, $20 later, right?
So the Charity Tap of the Month is a great program that we do, for charities and stuff.
Awesome.
One of the core values that we have at Tapville is community, because we're really ingrained in our local communities.
Yeah.
And that core value, all of our team is pretty committed to working within community, and they do volunteer activities and things like that. So
awesome, that's amazing, and I think that's huge to give back to your community, give back to the community that helps your business thrive, right? I mean, they're all the people that are shopping every day and buying our products and supporting our businesses. So giving back is huge. So we appreciate you coming on the show today, Joe. We appreciate all you do for the community. We're really excited about Tapville. I can't wait to hear more about it. I'm lucky enough to be best friends with one of the franchisees, so he tells me all the good news every time it comes. So I'm in your corner. I'm happy to support you guys, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds.
Thanks, Matt, for having me today. I appreciate it. My pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for coming out. Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to BizCast, brought to you by Final Stretch Media and Amy Downing Media. Use the links in the show notes to connect with us on LinkedIn and Facebook. We'd love to hear from you.